Well, hello all. Welcome to the Common Good Podcast. Thursday, June 13th. Paul, it's been like a month since we've had a Thursday conversation with astrophysicist Paul Wallace.
Too long.
Good to have this back. My wife just said this morning, time. Wow, it's really something. It's a great line. So, and then she starts into this little litany, like it's already the middle of June. It's already Thursday. It's already, 7:45. It's just already the day after yesterday.
Yeah.
Just time caught up with her today, and she was like, hey, "It's pretty."
We all say it, but it's cool. but it's a perpetual sensation. It like never goes away. It's always like, oh, I can't believe the holidays are here again. It's like, I mean, we know they're coming. We see them on the calendar.
Yeah.
But it's still surprising when I find myself climbing up to the attic to get the, the holly and stuff back at, ornaments and stuff back out.
Yeah, it's kind of something to do with like a short memory or something. I don't know. How
I don't know what it is.
Like
it feels like a merry-go-round, man. It's like let me get off for a second. Just
that's wow. I think there is a way that a lot of people are trying to avoid. It's well, okay. Time is not what we're going to talk about today, but you can't talk about space without talking about time.
True.
Is that true? Is that why space-time?
Well, in a scientific sense, yes. I mean, yeah. You can't talk about space because you look out. We've talked about it. You look out, and what you're seeing is stuff that's already happened, like sometimes a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, okay. Still, I watched a little article, a little news thing this morning that we'll talk about what Hubble space or what the James Webb Space Launch Telescope is seeing. Okay. And again, they just said, looking back in the universe, and this guy just still said to himself, I don't understand what they're talking about. How we're looking back in the past by looking further away.
When I explain that to my students, that is probably one of the things that gets the most, like, I can see the lights come on and they kind of like freak out a little bit. It's like, oh, it's this sort of an existential kind of jolt they get when they first grasp that idea, because it's not hard to explain. And when they get it, it's really fun to watch the expressions on the faces. Yeah.
So how does it feel then to have a friend for 10 years who, when you explain it to me, I still am like,
it's great.
There's no light. There's no light coming on. I still, I mean, I understand the words you say. I believe you when you say them, but I don't understand how light waves that have moved, you can look further away and you're seeing them in the past. We won't take me down the I don't get it route again. I'm just going to trust that you people are right about this. It's probably pretty good evidence. Jim Eaton in Ventura, California tells us that it's 6:07 a.m. in Ventura, California. Didn't tell us about the temperature because we're talking time.
Time.
Yabbits over there right near you in Marietta, Georgia.
Yep.
Says it's sunny, 75 degrees already.
It's nice. It'll be warm, but it's nice out there right now.
And you're in Decatur, Georgia. I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota. How are things in Decatur overall, weather-wise? Happy summer? Everybody's good with it?
Oh, yeah. It's been really good lately. A little warm, getting a little warm in the afternoons, mid to high 80s. But overall, really, especially in the mornings, it's really nice.
Wow. Yeah. Well, here in Minneapolis, we are having Decatur weather today, apparently. It's going to be 84, sunny.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty great. A little warm for y'all. Is that pretty normal for June?
No, I think warm? It might be. I think it might be a little warm.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like builds through the highs through the 70s and then into the 80s, and then the humidity comes sucking up from the Gulf of Mexico, which is kind of amazing. So Minnesota, a lot of people don't know where that is. I know this because I travel the country and say to people I'm from Minnesota, and I can see that they're not sure if I mean Montana or Michigan or Maine or one of the other states.
Up there somewhere.
Yes, somewhere, especially when you talk to people on the coast. That's just really the Eastern coast, especially just, oh yeah, those places exist too.
Oh yeah. I see them when I fly over. Yeah.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
just the empty farmland where our food comes. Is
Mhm,
that right? You
mhm.
people make our food? Do you people make our food?
We appreciate that.
Yeah. Uh, but the Gulf of Mexico, so the Mississippi River, which starts just north of where I am, a few hundred
Mhm.
miles up in Duluth,
Yep, yep,
runs right through here. By the way, it separates the twin cities of
yep,
Minneapolis and St. Paul. I
yep.
think it might also be the one that separates Kansas City, Missouri from Kansas City, Kansas. It's the Mississippi, right?
I think that's right.
Yeah.
I
Do you know
think
the story? Do you know the story on that one?
uh,
Why there's two Kansas City cities?
no, I don't know the story on that one.
Well, this one's kind of fun. I'll keep it short.
No,
You
it
know,
is not. No, Kansas City is west of St. Louis. St. Louis is on the river, of course.
okay, St.
Uh,
Louis is.
but
So what is it,
Kansas
the
City
Missouri
is
River?
on it's on the western side of
Okay.
Missouri, so that's a couple few hundred miles away.
It's the Missouri River then. Is that right?
It's
It's the
something.
Missouri River that separates
Yeah.
those? Well, here's the story as I've heard it. And I'll try to be brief. As my friend says, too late. Uh, there was a river flood, which happens. So the river, oftentimes our states are divided by geographical markers like rivers.
Right, right, right.
So it was one side of the river is Kansas, one side of the river is Missouri. Then there was a flood, which happens a lot. And when the flood receded, the river had shifted
Oh, right.
through the city, but the boundary was the river. They weren't changing what separated. They weren't doing it on latitude and
So
longitude.
originally it was Kansas City, Kansas.
Yeah. And then when the river cut the city, yeah.
It cut to
So
the east, and so it enveloped part of what used to be
pretty
Missouri.
cool. Yeah.
No, it must have gone to the west. It must have gone, yeah, it went to the west,
Hmm.
right, and so it covered up what
Yeah.
part of what used to be Kansas. Yeah, wow.
It's pretty cool though, right? Right. Like I like it every time humans have to accommodate to the natural happenings. Like
Yeah.
we make a thing, we make a deal, we set up a structure, and then Earth does a thing.
Nature n
Yeah.
na
We're like,
nature bats last. That's what the
right.
bumper sticker says, yeah.
Nature bats last. Great
No.
line.
Isn't that a great line?
Yes. That's a
I saw it on a
highlighted.
bumper sticker years ago, and I was like, that is golden. That is
Love it.
exactly the way it is, yeah.
Love it.
We think we're masters, but
Think we're masters. Well, anyway,
we
it's gonna
are.
get it's gonna get humid sometime in August, but right now today it'll be sunny
Mm.
and nice and all this. All right, hey Paul, what's happening with at the university the over the summer here? How's it going down there? And do you have your big
It is.
telescope pointed at anything important?
No, we have the telescope taken apart right now. We've got the big mirror, the 30-inch mirror is in upstate New York right now. Being it's a big it's not a flat mirror, it's a big parabolic mirror, which means if you cut it, if you made a slice right through the middle of it, then the cross section would be a parabola.
Hmm.
Um, it's being re-illuminized, basically recovered. Uh,
With what? What do they cover a mirror with? What I
Aluminum.
don't know.
That's all mirrors are basically made of aluminum evaporated onto glass, and this being
Wow.
re-illuminized so that we have a brand new mirror surface. It'll be back next week, and we'll reinstall it.
Did you know this before becoming the head of the department that has to take care of the mirror, that
What
mirrors
the,
are
the
are vaporized aluminum that
Yes, yeah.
attaches to glass?
I did know that. Yeah,
Hmm. Did you
that's
learn that as part of
that's
your
one of those.
job, or was there
I
was there
learned it in
some
graduate school because I actually I made targets for well, it's a long story, but basically I had to evaporate a lot of metals uh,
huh,
in the lab in graduate school, and I think that's probably where I learned it.
what does it take to evaporate
Very high
an element?
currents. It takes a vacuum chamber and very high currents. Heating up metal. Basically, you take the metal in a powder form and you place it into this little thing called a boat,
Hmm.
and then you run a hell of a high current through it, like 50 amps, 75 amps, 100 amps through it, and it heats up the metal so much it liquefies and then vaporizes.
And when it vaporizes, it wants to go up, and you've put glass on the top,
Yeah.
so it just sort of runs into that glass ceiling.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah, you
basically
put
women in politics.
yeah.
That's how it works.
Exactly.
Runs into a glass
Except for
ceiling.
I wasn't making mirrors, I was making, targets for a particle accelerator beam. So the beam strikes these
Oh,
targets and, but we were mostly I was evaporating
hmm.
silicon, but evaporating aluminum is the same basic idea.
That seems really toxic. Is that true? Like, is that a
What?
dangerous thing to human beings to be around vaporizing aluminum or
You
silicon?
probably don't wanna breathe it, but it's inside of a vacuum
Yeah,
chamber, and so by the time you, re-expose yourself
hmm,
to the targets or to the boat or to
sure.
the metal, it's gone. It's not in the air at all.
But we've been making mirrors for a very long time.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about the toxicity of that
How did
now
they
that you
used to
bring it
make?
up.
How did they used to make mirrors? How did they make mirrors 2,000 years ago?
I
Do you know?
don't know. I don't know how
They
they
just
made
found
mirrors
something that
2,000
was
years ago.
already reflective or something and used it as a
Looked at
mirror.
look down in the puddle. I don't I that's a good question. Like 200 years ago, what do they do? Do they do it that way? Do they I mean, they certainly could have melted, you know,
Hmm.
vaporized aluminum.
I would just imagine that making a vacuum is a complicated thing, and
It is a little complicated, yeah. It's tough to get a really good vacuum. It's not too hard to get a rough vacuum.
yeah.
As you know, all you need to do is vacuum cleaner. That's basically what what
What?
your vacuum cleaner does. That's all it does is it creates a vacuum and air flies into it to
Oh,
take up the space.
huh.
It just sucks air out
That
of a certain
sucking sound, that sucking action is a vacuum.
yeah, it's just a
I
low
mean, like,
pressure.
I know it's called a vacuum. I understand the name, but there's a lot of things that have names, and that's not what they're
No,
doing.
no, no. It's
It's like,
called a vacuum cleaner because it creates a very low vacuum inside the thing and
really?
enough for the air just to I mean
Huh.
to suck to run in to replace, the empty space.
Hmm.
Yep,
Uh,
there you go.
now I'm fascinated. Now you know what today's YouTube search will include. Factory tour of mirror, tour of mirror factory. Because
Yes, sir,
now I
yeah,
want to see, well, like, where are they making mirrors? And mirrors have been around my life for the whole time. I've
absolutely.
rarely thought anything about them other than our friends have like a tall, like a mirror you'd put beside a door, maybe,
Yeah,
or a tall mirror in your bedroom for
like a
like
full
seeing your
length
whole,
kinda deal.
yeah, full thanks, full length mirror, and it's sitting out right across the street, sitting outside their house next to their front door, like pointing toward us.
Uh-huh.
It's a big full length mirror, and Shelley, the woman who's fascinated now with time, said, "Man, seeing that mirror over there, it just makes you want to throw a rock at it, doesn't it?" You just want to break a mirror. Which there is a thing. I don't know what it is. It's
Yep.
because when I was a kid, if you broke a mirror, so, and I know there's like legends or
Yeah, yeah.
little myth fears.
Yeah, yeah.
So it must have been
Superstitious.
people like, "Hey, you can break glass, but you break a mirror and you're getting 12 years of bad luck. Don't break mirrors." I'm not now making up a theory that mirrors became super like valuable, uh, and we had to create a little code for,
'Cause
you're
because
gonna
they're a
want to
little
throw a rock at this thing, and
yeah,
you really shouldn't.
because they're a little spooky. I mean, it's like there's a whole world back there behind them, and it's
Totally.
like, you know what
And
I'm saying? It's just a little bit spooky.
yeah, and that it's reversed.
It's reversed, yeah. Oh, here's a question I ask my students that, it drives them crazy, it's like, if I look at the guy in the mirror in the morning and I wave my right hand, the guy waves his left hand, right? Right,
yeah.
it's his left hand. The guy in the mirror has bracelets on his right hand, not his left hand.
Hmm.
So left and right is flipped, but up and down isn't flipped. If I jump
Yeah.
up, the guy in the mirror jumps up. So how does the mirror know to switch left and right, but not up and down?
This is why kids start using drugs in college, Paul. This is what it's not hedonism. It's physics class.
It's physics. Yeah. So anyway, I like to ask them that question and give them a weekend to think about it.
And we don't have a weekend around here. We're old men. We don't have
Oh,
a weekend to
we
spare.
we got 2 weeks until we meet again.
That's true. Do I have to go do my own research like a
That's
QAnon
right.
supporter?
That's right. Do your own research.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, like, I'm confused by it, and certain applications I use for sending videos do the same thing, and I don't know why they do that.
Yeah, right, right. Somewhere in those applications, you can probably have a setting to where it flip it back.
Hmm. Yeah,
I
maybe,
imagine. I don't know,
maybe. Yeah.
but yeah,
Alright, well, mirrors, entirely fascinating. Um,
entirely, and a little
okay.
spooky.
Yeah, they are spooky, man. I mean, World of Mirror, House of Mirrors, it feels like the ghosts are always showing up in the mirrors.
That's right. That's
Um,
right. And how many scary movies do you know where that have used mirrors as a to as a jump to scare you basically.
yeah, and why okay, so I think there's something about mirrors. I bet there's, like, a whole, museum of mirrors that tells you, yeah, okay, I'm gonna go on a deep dive about mirrors. Um, and
Go
I
man.
guess just another way that aluminum for the last, you know, couple hundred years has really been one of the more important
Hmm.
elements that humans have been fussing around with,
Hmm.
isn't it?
Hmm.
I mean, aluminum just seems to keep showing up,
It's
you
just
know,
so light. It's just so
yeah,
light. It's not. Yeah.
and strong, right?
Yeah.
Light and strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Paul, Scott Jones asked a little question of you. Paul, have you read Andy Weir's book, The Hail Mary Project?
Yeah. I have actually. I have
Uh-huh.
read it. Yep. Yep. It's been We've been passing it around the physics department here.
What is it? What's its
It's
thing?
It's about, an encounter with, well, it's about this weird effect that happens. It's a science fiction book, and basically we discover life in the universe, and it's right here in the solar system. And actually, it's right around Venus, and it has to do with Venus and the sun. And the sun basically is losing energy.
Okay.
The sun starts to dim, and the reason for that is that this new life form is extracting energy from it, and it's about the mission to
Oh.
go out and investigate this. You know, that's what it's about.
And you
This
have
new
to, and then the human project says we can't let this other thing keep sucking our sun's energy because
Yeah,
it'll be
right.
the end of
Exactly.
us.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
here we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
All right. Is it a worthwhile read or listen?
Well, may I speak freely?
Please do.
I was the one person in my department that did not like it
Oh.
because it was for me. It was too much science and not enough story. It was like
Oh,
you know what I'm saying. It was a little bit too nerdy. That tells you
I
something.
see. Yeah. You having a hard time tracking? I know the feeling.
No, really. It's just from a literary perspective.
Okay.
It didn't grab me on a sort of a
Huh.
it grabbed my head, but it didn't grab much else.
Oh,
It just didn't pull me in.
you
It
didn't
didn't.
care. Yeah.
I didn't care that much. I didn't
Yeah.
really. The characters weren't that interesting to me,
Ah.
and it just was kind of a nice head trip, but it wasn't
Hmm.
emotionally or you know spiritually. It was
Yeah.
just it left me
Oh,
cold
okay.
basically.
Well, you
And
saved me.
the whole department has absolutely destroyed me over this, so
Oh,
I'm
really?
toughened up on it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, in a good fun
Yeah,
way,
yeah.
but
No, they think it's a problem with you. They you
that's right.
just your
That's right.
cold heart again comes up
That's right.
once again.
That's right.
They're like,
That's right.
uh, all right. Well, I have an Amazon. No, not an Amazon. I have an Audible book credit that is going to expire,
Yeah.
and I've been told that I have a few days to use
Mm.
that. So I've been looking for the ideal book to get. So I was thinking, well, I like Scott Jones a lot. I like Paul Wallace. They both know this book. Now I don't know what to do. Am I going to spend
You
is it
may
worth?
love it. You may love it. I mean, I mean, people whose opinions I
Yeah,
trust in general loved it.
yeah. I
Yeah.
feel that way about a lot of things. I'm sticking with you. All right, I'm going to move on to something else then. Another. So if anybody has a book recommendation for a guy that should spend in an Audible credit.
Oh,
All right.
did you ever read, it came out a few years ago, like 10 years ago or something, All the Light We Cannot See?
Yes, I actually have that on a Kindle. I was going to read it on vacation and I haven't.
Oh my, you absolutely
Really?
I read it on vacation.
Oh,
It is spectacular. It is absolutely spectacular.
I'm reaching up into the clouds to grab a pen. That's how it
Yeah,
works here.
yeah. Anyway, it's
Okay. All the light. All right.
oh, well, and it's one of these books that has like all their chapters are between like 1 and 4 pages long. So oh, I can do one more. Oh, I can do one more. Oh, I can, and it's just,
Yeah.
and you just all of a sudden you find it's 3 hours later and you're 100 pages in.
Mm,
It's just
yeah.
it's
You're binging.
phenomenal.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
binging.
yeah. It's such a good uh, vacation read. Wow.
All right, Paul. Speaking of reading, this headline 2 days ago caught me and I sent it to you. And it was Earth, or the origin of Earth's second moon is discovered. And these are great little headlines, right?
Yeah,
Because it's like,
they're
oh,
just
you didn't even know the Earth had a second moon, and we've already moved on to where it came from, right?
we
Great.
know not only we now we know where it came from.
Yeah.
We're way ahead of you.
All right. The Earth's second moon. This sounds like the kind of thing that the people that I know who look at the sky and talk about spiritual things, you know, people that do, astronomy or astrology and not astronomy, people that do a lot of, lunar patterns for
Yeah,
what's happening in the world. The second moon
yeah.
just
Well, at least they
feels
had
like a thing that these people would be talking about, but this is something much different, isn't
at least they had the decency to put scare quotes around it.
it? They did.
Yeah,
They did.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Okay.
out
We, we
there.
we should tell for the podcast listeners that yes, in the headline it does say origin of Earth's quote second moon close quote discovered. Asteroid sampling mission will confirm whether moon-like Kamilaru, it looks like a Hawaiian name,
It is
uh,
Hawaiian. Yeah.
came from our moon. Um, all right. So the give us the long and short story of this. How long have you known about the second moon, and why have you not been telling the rest of us?
I've known about it for quite a long time, but I didn't talk about it because it's not really a moon. It is
Mm.
a body that shares our orbit around the sun. It orbits the sun, not the Earth.
Oh,
It travels not, it
so it's more
travels
of a
more or
planet.
less. It's more like a planet that shares our orbit, and it's about the size of the Statue of Liberty. That's what I read. That's what I remember reading
Yeah,
about it.
seems really small. Like
Yeah,
how
it's
how
pretty
long have they
small.
been tracking I mean, the Statue of Liberty is big by human standards, but it's not
Yeah,
big by
and
like
no, no.
any other standard.
Yeah,
They
it's
put
a
it on a
dust.
ship and
Right,
like in
right,
17 something.
right.
Send it over here. 1790. Or they weren't even
It's
big ships.
right, right. And no, it's a
Okay.
speck. It's a
It's a
speck.
speck.
It's a speck. It's a dust particle. Yeah.
Okay. What makes it a big deal though? Why have people been fussing about whether it actually was a split off from the moon, like like a Baptist denomination that just split off from
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
the other? Why do they care if that little speck that's somehow got hooked into the same orbit, the same gravitational pattern or pulled the thing into orbiting the sun? It
Yeah.
seems really small. Okay, I'm gonna have three questions. Why
Okay.
do people care? How do they ever see it if it's so small?
Mm.
And if it's this small, why does it have enough mass to be in a gravitational pull and not just be
Okay.
sucked into the Earth or the moon?
Okay. The first question, why do we care? Because that's what scientists do. They
All
just
right,
investigate stuff. You know. Is
got
there
it.
any cash? Is there any like cash value? No, not that we can see. But it's just sheer curiosity. It's a sheer scientific impulse to see a thing and to try to figure out what the heck's going on.
Okay,
That's all. That's all it is.
okay.
The second one is what was the had to do with the orbit? No, that was the third
How
question.
they see it? If it's
Oh,
if
they saw it because we have these. We're constantly on the lookout for near Earth asteroids because we
oh
don't want any asteroids to hit the Earth. Right? We don't want that to happen. One day it will happen. Not today, probably, but mathematically, it's a certainty over the next several million years. We're going to be hit by something. So we're always looking out. So we have these I can't remember the name of the survey that detected this, but we're constantly scanning the sky
hmm.
for evidence of uh, basically near Earth asteroids, and that's
And
how
when someone's scanning the sky, when
it's all done more or less automatically. Telescopes scan the sky
yeah,
pretty much 24
and,
hours a day.
And then, and are some of these discovered? I hear these stories about things in the sky being discovered by, a fella in New Zealand who set
Right,
his telescope, he's got a mid-level telescope and he discovers
right,
something.
right. Yeah,
And
that's the exception.
he's in there then writing it down in a little notepad,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
locations, those
with a
cats.
pencil, yeah.
Yeah, those
Oh,
guys.
yeah. Yeah,
Right, in the
oh,
kitchen where you could
yeah,
spill
yeah,
coffee on it and there goes a life's
yeah.
work, but they don't care. They're gonna keep
You
doing it.
you hear about that because that's the exception, that's the interesting
Yeah.
human interest angle, but mostly these things are discovered by robotic telescopes that just scan, and basically what they do is they take images of the sky,
Okay.
and then the next night they take images of the same part of the sky, and then they compare the two images and see if anything has moved.
Got it.
Eh, See if anything has moved from one night to the next, to the next, to the next, and so that's all done automatically. It's all done
I
robotically.
see. And how
Um,
long have we known about this one? How long have they been tracking our little
I don't know.
second
I can't
moon or
remember. It's
second
been
Earth?
years. I mean, I've known about it for years. I can't
Oh, okay.
remember
Long, long time.
when. Yeah, yeah. Not this year. No,
So
we've known
it's
about it for quite a
from
while.
reading the article, um, it suggests that they've figured out that it's made of the same stuff the moon is made of. So
Yeah,
the moon got hit by an asteroid. That's the
that's
idea.
right.
And
That's
then a
right.
big chunk flew off and then kind
Yeah,
of hooked into the gravitational pull. All right.
yeah,
If it's that small, we could we could see it with a fancy telescope. Can't see it with your
yeah.
naked eye, right? There's
Nope.
no,
Right.
you're not
Oh,
just
not
looking
even
up.
close. Yeah.
How big does something have to be to have enough mass to be pulled into orbit as opposed to being pulled into crashing back into the moon or crashing into the
It's
Earth?
independent. It's that it's independent of mass.
Doesn't matter
So
how big it is.
no, or small.
Hmm.
Like mathematically, if space were a perfect vacuum, you could take an electron and put it into Earth orbit. It doesn't matter what the
Why
mass of
does it
the
need to
object
have a
is.
what does the vacuum create
Because
that
an electron couldn't orbit if there was anything else out there. It would
I see, I see, I
bump
see.
into atoms or whatever.
Okay.
But basically, as long as the electron doesn't run into anything, you could put an electron in space and have it
All
orbit the
right.
sun.
Okay. So the
So
principle is things can just orbit.
right,
But
independent of
in
the mass.
reality, some things are flying into the Earth and some things are orbiting. Well, the moon is
Yeah,
orbiting the Earth.
right.
Some things are orbiting the sun, but it's kind of a big deal when something orbits the sun, right? So like why is
Oh,
this thing not just getting
all
sucked into
all it
something
has
else?
to do with is basically what the initial velocity
Oh.
was.
Oh.
Its speed and its direction. That's
It's
all that
all
matters. The mass does not come into it,
it's
but
all origin
and,
stories.
and it's all origin stories. Exactly.
Hmm.
Yep.
Wow. You can't outrun genetics. Uh, okay. So somehow an asteroid crashed into the moon.
It's happened a lot, right? Look at all the craters.
Okay, fair enough.
Yep.
Lots of
Yep.
craters.
Lots of craters.
Is this crater that this little fake moon came from? Is that on the side that we can see, or is it on the
You
side
know,
that only the
that's a good
Chinese
question.
cameras can see?
I don't know which side it's on, but it is a named crater, and I can't remember what the name of it is. You don't have it there in front of you, do you?
Yeah,
What and I
that wasn't.
what amazes me is that they can pinpoint the I don't know how they pinpointed the specific crater from which this thing came.
Yeah, that's a heck of a puzzle piece find right there. Like, oh,
I mean,
this one fits right there.
it's got to be basically tracing its current velocity back in time.
Oh,
That has to be what it is, but I can't believe they can get it precisely. But maybe they can. That's
right
the only
to
way
the
they can
crater.
possibly.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Basically, run the movie backwards and see where the crater ends up. I mean, see
Th-
where the piece of rock ends up.
This feels like the makings of a like a phrase 250 years from now, where people are like, well, you can't trace it back to the crater.
No,
But you can't,
exactly. Yeah, 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 yeah,
something that's like you can. Okay, so they figured out how to do that. So an asteroid hits the Earth or hits the moon,
yeah.
a big chunk flies off, and somehow that is what I'm confused by. That breaking off put it into some kind of a motion,
Yeah.
Then
Its initial velocity was such that it was destined to remain in orbit around the sun. Now, probably
Mhm.
10,000,000,000 other pieces got blown off the moon too, but those happened to not fall into stable orbits around the sun. Those
Got
might
it.
have fallen back to the moon, they might have fallen into the sun, they might have been heck, they might have hit the earth. I don't know.
Huh.
But uh
And there could be just little teeny ones up there,
yeah,
just
yeah,
little like
yeah,
the size of your hand, just
right.
orbiting the sun.
There almost certainly are because typically you get more small chunks than you do big chunks. So there are certainly tons of little small ones from the same
Okay.
impact.
And I feel like we've talked about this before, and I can't remember what we settled on. Did the moon come from hitting the Earth and flying up there?
Yeah, yeah, we think that's what it
Do we
was.
still think that's what it was?
Yeah.
But there's not a moon shaped empty spot in this
No,
puzzle
because
of
the
the
Earth was
planet.
presumably molten at the time, so it was essentially fluid and would have not
Huh.
retained the crater. 'Cause the moon is only slightly
Hmm.
less old than the Earth, and when the impact happened, the Earth was
Hmm.
almost entirely molten, probably.
I see. Okay. I'm writing down the phrase the creative potential of asteroids. I don't know why, but that fascinates me.
Hey,
But
we have an asteroid to be thankful for ourselves. I mean, talk about creative and because, if it wasn't for the dinosaurs being wiped out 66 million years ago by a big rock from space, we wouldn't be here.
yeah, that's still a doozy of a story, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like that
if
thing
we get
hits, it throws up so much dust and stuff into the atmosphere. It blots out the sun. We get an ice age, and here we come, everybody.
yeah, yep, yep, yep.
I
Just sit back
mean,
and wait. We're coming.
it's
It's
nature
crazy.
bats last. I got to write that one
Nature
down
bats
too.
last. Yep.
Uh, okay, well, thank you for that, Paul. So people they can rest assured they don't have to tell their children there are two moons.
That's what
They
no, they don't do.
they can say it's a planet. There's another
No,
planet.
not a planet. No, it's not a planet either.
Okay,
It's just
I
an
know.
asteroid.
It's just an asteroid.
It's an asteroid.
Just get your asteroid out there. All right. Uh, Second to last story, and we're on a tight schedule today, so we can't be sitting around chit chatting about the unimportant things. But a lot of stories where I live, and now in the national news about the Northern Lights, and saying
Yep.
that 20 days or 20 dark sky places in the U.S. for the best views over this summer season of Northern Lights. It's a really big deal up here in Minnesota. Maybe because of where we are on
Yeah.
on the earth. I have not seen them ever in my life, but apparently a while back, maybe when we were in New Mexico or when we were in Texas and Mexico,
Oh,
watching
you were
this,
down there.
watching
That's
the
I
watching the
was
moon
wondering why you
disappear.
didn't see them because
Yeah, I
you
was
would have gotten a
someplace. Yeah,
yeah,
missed
yeah.
them.
That
So
was like it
tell
was like May it's like May 10th, something like that is when it happened.
something was going on.
About
Yeah,
a
I was
month ago.
away. I missed the Northern Lights. Tell the good people, Paul, what are the Northern Lights, and what's cool? I mean, they're obviously just cool to the eye, and it must have just freaked out people and created entire religions
I'm
at
sure.
other times in human experience. What are they, and why are they happening now? And does it have to do with climate change? And if I recycle properly, would I somehow distinguish the Northern Lights?
No, this is delightful. It's good to know that this has nothing to do with climate change.
Great.
It's a nice natural phenomenon. It's nothing to do with us mucking up the
All
atmosphere.
right.
Um, every basically, it's the origin is in the sun and the sun's magnetic field. But
Mm,
every 11 years, the sun gets what we call active. A lot of sunspots, a lot of
mm,
magnetic storms, things called flares. That's flares, prominences, things like that. And the largest of these things has a great name. These are basically enormous explosions on the sun's surface, and they're called coronal mass ejections.
mm,
And basically, it's think of it essentially like a huge explosion where a large fraction of mass gets ejected from the surface of the sun and
mm-hmm.
leaves the sun's surface at enormously high rates and travels through space very fast. It's basically just a big mass of protons and electrons
Wow.
flying through space. And our Earth's magnetic field catches them. Okay. How that happens is, beyond the scope of this discussion, but the Earth's magnetic field catches them
Okay.
and traps them. But every 11 years, the sun gets super active,
Huh.
and the Earth is not able to basically hold all of the electrons and protons that it catches, and the electrons and protons spiral down to the Earth
Mm.
at the poles, North and South Pole. So these are fast moving charged particles flying down through the atmosphere. They ionize the atmosphere. And when the atmosphere goes back to being regular, it goes unionized, and electrons get captured back onto atoms, they emit this light. So basically, this
Ah.
is what you're seeing basically is the effect of our so-called magnetic trap that the Earth has being over full and overflowing, and the protons fall down to the Earth at the poles and ionize the gas in the atmosphere, and that's what you're seeing.
Cool.
Yeah,
And it happens at the poles because that's where the electromagnetic.
that's where the
Mm,
that's where the magnetic field lines of the Earth basically uh, touch down on Earth's surface.
yeah.
Go and so the particles follow what we call magnetic field lines, and
Wow.
so that's the way they have to come. And they happen at the south too. It's not just the north.
Kind
There's
of feels
southern
like.
lights as well.
Okay, I was going to ask you that, but because we're in the northern hemisphere, we just like to talk about the northern lights. But
Also, because
people in.
there's much less land near the South Pole,
Got it.
so far fewer people see them.
Right.
You have to
Ah.
be in
Oh.
Australia or
Yeah.
Argentina or something.
Yeah. Uh. It seems like that. Seems like people would be thinking something magical, important, which should be happening with all this energy, electrons and ionization, everything going on when these are happening. Is there something like that? Do people build a whole, I don't know, healing practice around getting to the North
Well,
Pole and the healing lights? I mean, if
I
you just
am
got energy flying out of on some 11-year solar pattern, and how in the world is the sun keeping track of 11 years? And do you think the sun says to itself, I can't believe it's flare season already? Wow.
yeah,
It's
time,
just wow, time.
time.
Just really the sun
It's
just
so
really like I
weird.
mean, I know I've only got about 17 billion years left, but wow, it's just another flare season. But do people organize around that stuff? Do
You
you know
know, you
anything about
know,
this?
I do not know, but I am certain that somewhere somebody on the internet has written about this and has absolutely convinced themselves that the meaning of their lives can be discerned by watching the patterns in the aurora.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
the way you've described it, that it's uh, there's some electrical charge that's
Mhm.
ionizing and happening, and it's dumping down an 11-year pattern into the poles. That just feels like something somebody should get on. And frankly, it
Oh,
also strikes me
we're on it. Believe me, we've been on
that
it for a while. But this one event last month happened because one of these big coronal mass ejections occurred in the direction of the Earth,
oh, I see.
and so we got a big burst of these particles, and so we kind of knew it was coming. It was predicted. I don't know if you remember that, but it was predicted a day or two
Well,
ahead of time
oh, it's
because
only a day or two ahead of
it
time.
takes about a day for the particles to reach us from the sun.
Huh.
Um, so
What do we call what this sounds like a joke, but what do we call people who study the sun? Is it just you regular old astrophysicists, or is there a subcategory of people who are
The
like
only
sun
term
experts?
I know is solar scientists,
Huh.
and I know a couple of them. Yeah, but I don't.
Hmm.
There's not like seismologist or something. There's nothing like
Yeah,
that.
really?
Solarist, solarologist,
Huh.
solologist. No, it's just solar science.
Solar
Solar
scientists.
science. Yeah.
It just seems like I don't know. The sun seems like one of the more important parts of all the
Oh
sky.
yeah, yeah. It's pretty.
And we spend a lot. There's volcanists, right? People that study volcanoes on the moons
Yeah,
and
yeah,
planets and stuff. But
yeah,
boy, the sun just sitting there shining bright and being
yeah.
ignored,
That's
just like
right.
like the smiley
So
friend.
solar scientist. That's all we got.
All right, we have to go here in a minute, but CBS News had a story of a once in a lifetime cosmic explosion that's likely this summer. I
Yeah.
love the phrase "once in a lifetime."
That
Depends
is
on
that is a good one because this is about an 80-year period, so that
okay.
actually is pretty close.
So, really not that big of a deal, I would guess, right? I mean,
Depends on who you are.
something happening in space every 80 years, the space that's been there for what's the current guess of how long our solar system has existed?
5,000,000,000?
Okay. So every 80 year how many 80-year cycles have there been in 5 billion years?
But this is from the galaxy. This is not from the solar system. This is probably younger than 5,000,000,000 years. This system
2?
here.
2 billion?
I don't know. I need to know about the. See, there's two stars there. I need to know about the. I don't know what the ages are of those things, but
Pick a number. 300 million?
actually, one on the
A
left is
million? And it's still like 80?
no. It's probably older because the thing on the left is a white dwarf, and those are that's got to be older than our sun. So this has been around for a while.
Okay, my guess is this image that we're looking at on the screen here is another one of those artist,
Yeah,
fabrications.
and
Okay,
this thing is
but
yeah,
anyway,
3,000 light years away. So yeah, we don't have a good clear.
yeah,
Uh,
this thing is like 25 or 15 light years away or 25 light years or
oh, it's 3,000.
3,000 light years away.
Yeah.
So it's only going to be seen by the James Webb telescope apparently, right?
No, 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 no. This is a thing that we can see with our unaided eye.
Really
Your and my eyeballs can see this. Yes, it's basically if you know the sky in this particular region, if you know the stars, then you'll go out there one night, you won't see a star in this spot. You go out the next night, and you'll see a star.
wow. A
Yeah,
Star is Born.
exactly.
I got a soundtrack and a movie we could play.
Yeah,
And all right, so a star is going to be born for a brief moment,
yep.
right, in a little explosion. What do you know anything about what part of the sky, or do you know anything about when we
Yeah,
can?
it's a part that you and I can see.
4th of
It's in a con-
July, hopefully, like right then, like it would
it,
sort of be like,
that'd be awesome. It's up now. It's up during the summer, and it's pretty far overhead. Um,
oh,
but it's very clear view.
how long does this explosion last, and how long
So,
will the will?
gosh, I don't know. I'm guessing we'll probably be able to see it for a month, maybe.
Hmm,
So that's just a guess.
yeah,
But it'll start off brighter and slowly dim
huh,
over time.
like a shooting star.
It'd be awesome. From
This is a,
for people who know the sky, who are used to looking at this constellation and it looking a certain way,
yeah,
you go back and look at it again, and all of a sudden it's got a new.
right.
That's kind of weird.
Right, like the nervous neighbor that's like, "Hey, I've never seen that car come down the road before." So
Exactly.
somebody's out
Yeah.
there looking at the sky and they're like, "Hang on a minute. Never in my lifetime, and I'm 80, 79 years old." All right. So lots of things to look at in the sky.
Yep.
Hunting for a second moon doesn't have to be one of them. But Paul,
No. Yeah.
thanks.
You're welcome.
Anything? What does a college professor, astrophysicist do in June and July? Are you just sitting back with the feet up? Get
I'm doing some administrative work, but I'm also doing a lot of birding.
did you see anything recently that
Oh
you were
yeah,
excited?
yeah. I saw a endangered woodpecker that there used to be 1,000,000 of them in the southeast, and now there's approximately 10,000 of them, about 1% of its original population.
Any idea what happened?
Yeah, we destroyed
Probably
its
us.
habitat. We destroyed its habitat. That's what we
Okay.
did. Yeah, that
What
one's on
what
us.
what kind of habitat
It's
do the
it's a basically it's a kind of habitat that has a lot of longleaf pine trees,
okay?
but almost no understory, like no shrubbery, no
Oh,
medium-sized trees. And what happens is that historically, without human intervention, these things are maintained by fire, by
mm,
lightning-started fires that once every 1 to 5 years eliminates all the understory, all the shrubbery
yep,
and
burns it out.
small trees, and the nice tough longleafs can take it, and actually it's kind of good for them. And so that's called a pine savanna, and it is used to be millions of acres, but now there's only a few, you know, maybe a couple of tens of thousands of acres that in managed protected
Mm,
areas.
mm.
And I went to one of those down here in Georgia yesterday, 2 days ago, and
And you saw it.
I saw it, baby.
Did you hear it
Got
too, or did you just see it?
Oh gosh, they were noisy. Yeah, I
Oh,
heard them before I saw them. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and you
And
you knew
it
you knew what you were looking for on this one.
I
Like
knew I
you
was
weren't
looking
just
for, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And they were conspicuous. It's breeding
Oh,
season. They got babies. They're going out foraging to feed their babies. So it's they were very active, making
right.
all kinds of racket right in front of God and everybody.
Hey, Rob Millie, one final question here, and then we do have to go. I'd love to see the Northern Lights someday with my naked eye. Any idea if these would be visible to the naked eye or just a mode on a camera
I
phone? You
wonder
think?
wonder where Rob lives, because if he lives in Georgia like me, answer is no. But if he
Oh,
lives up north where you do, oh yeah, you can see him if
so up
you.
north, anywhere in the country, north of something.
No,
Like he could
generally
be
just
up in Vermont, he
generally
could
just
be in
generally
Oregon,
just north. These days, it's a pretty good. I mean, pretty much if you live in the northern part of the country.
Illinois. He lives in Illinois.
Okay,
Road trip,
northern,
road trip,
like
Rob.
Chicago or South Illinois, or
Oh, good question. See, Rob, we're not letting you off with just Illinois. If it was Chicago, here's what I can tell you. He would say Chicago.
yeah,
The
that's
thing about
true.
Chicago,
That's true. Yeah, if you're from Atlanta, you don't say I'm from Georgia. You say I'm
you
from Atlanta. Yeah,
that is exactly right. There are just certain cities that are bigger than their states.
that's right. That's
And
right.
when someone
So
says I'm from New York and they of course mean the city,
yeah,
they
they they drop the c word. They say New York City,
yeah. No, they
or
don't
they
have
just say
to.
I'm from the city.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. All right,
Oh,
buddy.
I got to run.
Thank you. Yeah, we both we have look, friends. Paul and I are very busy. At 7 minutes before the top of the hour, we've got stuff to do. We got places
I
to
got
go.
a I
Things to
got
do.
a meeting
Me
in the
too.
summer. Can you believe that?
Me too.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah. You know what I have? I have Thursday duty with our grandson.
Oh,
We
that
are
sounds
we
like a
are
pleasure
we
to
are
me.
we are caregivers on Thursdays
Well,
for a
enjoy
little guy named
yourselves.
Wesley Puck. So that's pretty good. But that's a meeting you can't be late for. You don't want your
Nope.
daughter being like, seriously, you're late. No, no being late. There's a lot of meetings you
Nope.
can be late for. Work ones are fine.
That's right, but
Taking
not that
care of
one.
the grandson so your daughter can go to a work meeting, not one of those. So I got to go, buddy.
Enjoy.